So thank you all. We're moving on now from City Council to School Committee. So Jose Luis Rojas Villarreal, you are up first.
Great. Good evening. Yes, my name is Jose Luis Rojas Villarreal. It is my honor to introduce myself as candidate for re-election to the School Committee. I hope that as you learn more about me, you will give me your #1 vote. I want to start by saying that it has been a privilege to serve with the School Committee, especially given the awesome challenges of the COVID-19 crisis. I am originally from Mexico and have been living in Cambridge for the last 20 years, and our children attend our public schools. Outside the School Committee, I work 4 days a week in community lending to cooperatives and other social ventures in the state and around the country. During my first term in the School Committee, I have shown that I can bring people together with various points of view and data considerations and come up with consensus or other ways to move us forward. I have also used my professional experience to ensure long-term considerations are fully considered in School Committee decision-making. My #1 priority is that we need to concentrate our efforts on ensuring that we start and complete a new district plan over the course of the school calendar year. Our current plan lapsed in the middle of the pandemic. Having this strategic plan is a roadmap that is key for us to have productive discussions on how to use our money to change programs and implement initiatives to achieve our goals. An accomplishment that I'm most proud of is that as chair of the Buildings and Grants Subcommittee, I have listened to our community members with expertise in healthcare, science, education, who have volunteered to provide us with invaluable advice. I helped bring together all this information in the form of the district's COVID-19 Health and Safety Manual, which enabled us to bring our youngest and most at-risk students back to the classrooms safely earlier than many other districts. The manual and its successful implementation have served as a role model for other school committees in and outside the state. Hope that this information has been useful and that I can earn your #1 vote. Thank you, CNA, for organizing this event. Have a good evening.
Thank you so much, Jose Luis. Aisha Wilson, you're up next.
Thank you, CNA, for having me, and thank you to everybody for being here. Really wish that we would be in person, but this is just as wonderful. So my name is Aisha Wilson, and I am running for re-election to the Cambridge School Committee. Look forward to your #1 vote. I am a person who grew up in Cambridge. My whole K-12 education has been there, and I am really proud of that education and understand that today, many of our young people cannot say that one district has supported their educational system, and I can. Today, I am a social worker. I have been doing social work for about 10 years, and I've been in youth development for 20 years. I am the only school committee member who is a social worker, who is a union employee, and who is front-facing with young people each and every day. And I take those experiences both professionally and personally into the work as a school committee member. I center the voices of our young people, their families, and our educators. In my first term, I'm really happy and proud that I have advocated along with my colleagues to add more social workers to our schools, and that yielded 9 new social workers over the last 2 budget cycles, which I'm extremely proud of. Also, I co-wrote with member Rachel to make sure that Cambridge Public Schools prioritizes racial equity in our schools, and that helped to create the Office of Equity, Inclusion, and Belonging. In the next term, I really look forward to making sure that we have a mental health curriculum that spans over the grades of K through 12, and as well as looking to make sure that all of our young people graduate, our juniors and seniors specifically, having an internship that is in a field of their choice by using our relationships and partnerships within our major corporations within our community. It's important that all of our kids are reading by 3rd grade. It is important that our kids have an equitable educational experience in Cambridge. Again, Aisha Wilson, looking forward to having your #1 vote on or before November 2nd. Thank you.
Thank you so much for reminding us of the date. Caroline Hunter is next.
Hi, I'm Caroline Hunter. I'm an experienced educator with 40 years living in Cambridge, and I have a master's in education and adult learning, as well as a master's in education from the Ed School in administration and planning. In my experience, I've served in all the roles of the education equation. As a parent, I shepherded a growing learning child from kindergarten through the high school. as a parent. As a teacher, I was responsible for student learning, for daily teaching, for educational planning and curriculum management, as well as behavior and classroom management. As the assistant principal at the high school, I was responsible to supervise teachers and curriculum, manage the building and custodians, responsible for student schedules, all the publications, and the school-wide events. I also co-authored the Concerned Black Staff Report on the disparities in Cambridge, and many of those recommendations were adopted by the school committee. My platform is transparency. Let us annually publish data around student performance and accountability, give clear standards around the delivery of services. Despite the money that we spend in Cambridge, disparities in student performance and achievement persist. I'd like to bring to the table my experience as an educator, as a teacher, as an administrator, as a parent, because I think experience matters and service never stops. We must prioritize our goals and our budgetary goals in alignment with student needs and the desired outcome so we can have a measurable success that will prepare students not only for academic success, for a future beyond their high school years. Please vote for me. Experience matters. Caroline Hunter, #1 for school committee on November 2nd. Thank you, CNA, for this opportunity.
Thank you so much for being here. Akriti Bombay, you're next.
Thank you, Brittany, CNA, and everyone for being here. My name is Akriti Bombay, candidate for school committee, asking for your #1 vote on November 2nd. I'm the daughter of 2 Indian immigrants. My mom came to the States when she was young, had a head full of dreams, but life threw her curveballs. She got pregnant with me when she was very young, got scared and dropped out of school. And growing up, I saw the impact of her missed education everywhere. She developed very severe depression, and I actually had to leave school to go home and take care of mom. I was sitting at home, and one day the phone rang. It was a teacher of mine. My teacher called me over and over and over again, pulled me out of the home. I went back to school, to college, got my master's degree in education, specifically because the classroom is where all of our stories start, but particularly the education system couldn't hold my family intergenerationally very well. My story in some ways boils down to luck. I got lucky a teacher reached out, and I'm running for school committee because I don't believe that luck is good enough. And still, here in Cambridge, too many kids bank on luck, right time, right place. And one of the things that I'd like to do if I were so lucky as to be elected is to ensure that every kid here in Cambridge has access to an equitable and guaranteed excellent education. The way I'd mostly and prioritize fighting for that would be ensuring that our budget process has a formal way of vetting the efficacy of our investments. We spend $32,000 per kid here in the city of Cambridge, and still we don't know if all of that's working. Our district is changing, and we need to make sure that our budget process reflects both changing demographics and is clear and transparent to parents, to teachers, to students where our money is going and if it's working. An accomplishment I'm very proud of is I stood up a statewide program to help train teachers and school-facing staff in de-escalation and mental health first aid. So many kids come to the school environments in various states of need, and they often receive punitive reactions to the things that they're facing. So in order to have a holistic and well-being centered environment, I think our teachers and staff should center wellness, and that's why I'm running for office. And again, hoping for your #1 vote on November 2nd. Thanks so much.
Thanks a lot. Rachel Weinstein, you're next.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you, Cambridgeport Neighborhood Association, for having us all and connecting tonight. For those I haven't met before, my name is Rachel Weinstein. I am a proud K-12 product of the Cambridge Public Schools. I have an 8th grader at Vassal Lane Upper School, and my other job is working with schools in Boston. I am in my first term on the Cambridge School Committee. I am running again on a platform to make our schools more anti-racist. That is the fire in my belly and the work we have to do as a district. As member equity, inclusion, and belonging, but also a more robust family engagement team. And this summer, we adopted a community developed set of anti-racist mission and vision statements for the district. So that's sort of like budget and policy pieces of the work. I think a lot of the work our district needs to do is around culture and process. And I've walked my talk on that front as well. So when the previous superintendent, Dr. Salim, announced he would be stepping down, we learned that school committees can just appoint an interim superintendent. And I proposed to my colleagues a community process. It's such an important hire. I'm pleased that they approved that process. And then I got to work with a group of students, a group of families, a third group of educators. In all three of those groups, we centered people of color, families who are English learners, families who have students on IEPs. And it was really important for numerous reasons, but the one I'm going to highlight, since I'm almost out of time, is that we wanted whoever took the job to see, we're not just saying we're an anti-racist district on our website, but we want you to center the people we've historically failed right here. If I have the honor of serving a second term, I'm going to continue this work. I also want you to know I've been the first and most vocal school committee member to support vaccine mandates, and I hope I have earned your #1 vote this fall. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Daria Johnson, you're next.
Hi, good evening. Thank you, CNA, for hosting this forum, and thank all of you for attending. My name is Daria Johnson. Many of us in this room tonight were born and raised in the city, and others came to this wonderful city at various points in their lives. Growing up in Cambridge and attending King Open School and CRLS, one of the things I learned was to be a problem solver and a connector. I see the common thread that we all have, and that is a love for our city and a passion to see a better school district. And in this common thread, my hope is that we can come together, identify what is working in our district and what is not, and to create meaningful actions around these issues. Something I'm proud of is the work that I did with Cambridge Families of Color Coalition over the pandemic to create a more accessible and equitable space for families within the school and the district. We did this by serving families through an anti-racist lens and providing accessibility that we should be providing in all spaces. I don't believe in making one thing a priority, but rather how can we build a systematic change and apply an equity lens to all that we do. This is what I plan to begin with in a targeted way with the help of a community task force. Task Force A, in order to have equitable education, we must start at pre-K. The plan is to work with the committee, the council, the city manager, the mayor, to figure out how we can fund pre-K classrooms in every school, while working with daycare centers and home daycares, since they are our feeders into the system. Collaboration is key. Changing how we approach discipline in the city. Restorative justice training for every single adult that works with our children. I would also challenge the committee, if we truly want to affect change, writing in accountability goals into contracts for our superintendent, the cabinet, and school administrators, and to remove teachers and administrators and coaches that have continually done harm to our children. Task Force B would be creating pathways in the high school, AP, rebuilding our vocational programs in the high school. We must prepare students to be world-class. I ask that your #1 vote on November 2nd be for me. I also ask that you join with me as a community to create a better district. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And next is David Weinstein.
Hi, thanks for hosting. Thanks for watching. I'm David Weinstein. I'm a first-term member of the school committee. I'm proud of our schools, but not satisfied. I've lived in Cambridge for 20 years. My kids are in 4th grade at Graham Parks and 9th grade at CRLS after Vassar Lane Upper School. I'm an experienced public school teacher. I taught high school English and K-12 art in New York and Massachusetts, followed by a career in K-12 and college education. I researched educational policy and practice for my master's in education at the Harvard Grad School of Ed. And I'm now guiding and growing a 50-state civic education program based at Brandeis University. I'm proud of how my colleagues and I worked with our children, families, teachers, and administration to navigate this challenging time and make hard decisions. And I'm proud of how I kept my focus on equity and anti-racism throughout. Up next, my #1 priority is to establish a coordinated cradle-to-career system of support in Cambridge, including preschool access, after-school programs, sports and extracurriculars, special education services and advanced learning supports that are accessible to all, college and career guidance, internships, apprenticeships, a system that knits together our schools, the city, partners, and businesses. And I've begun this work. I laid the groundwork for individualized student success plans for all as chair of the Curriculum and Achievement Subcommittee. I've met with the birth to 3rd grade partnership between the city and the school department, which should play a key role, particularly for universal preschool. To improve community engagement, I ensured the caregiver university planning process was fully funded and centered and supported families of color. I established the district's outdoor learning working group as a key part of our COVID response, and so we can expand outdoor learning and recess post-pandemic. It includes teachers, parents, innovative local leaders in this field. We have so much in Cambridge: the people, the money, the city programs, community partners, thriving, innovative businesses. none of our children should fall through the cracks. None of our children should be left to languish. That we must close racial and economic opportunity gaps and ensure each and every child is prepared to succeed in college, career, and life. That's why I taught in public schools, studied educational policy, serve on the school committee. I've worked so hard the past 2 years. It's my commitment to Cambridge. And that's why I ask you to re-elect David #1 and work with me. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Fred Fantini, please. Might be muted. Let me check. Yes, you're muted, Fred. Sorry.
Wait a minute.
Try start again. Thank you.
Okay. My name is Fred Fantini, and I'm serving my 19th term as a member of the school committee. First of all, I want to talk about 2 years ago, I made a commitment that I would try to accomplish 2 tasks. One of them was paraprofessional education. I report to you tonight that our paraprofessionals now in Cambridge can get a free bachelor's degree and a free master's degree with a pipeline to becoming a school teacher in Cambridge. I was able to work with Lesley University to create a cohort of 20 paraprofessionals to participate, who had their bachelor's degree, to participate in a master's degree program in education. They're through 5 of their courses now. They're heading all in the right direction, and they're going to be given a priority to be school teachers in Cambridge. And our paraprofessionals are a very diverse group, so that will be a pipeline to diversify our system. I've also received calls from many other school systems. I think this will end up being a national model. No college debt. That's everybody's goal. That's what I was able to deliver. While I was at Cambridge College, I also filed with the high school and at Lesley University a early college grant with the Department of Education that will introduce in January and then next September 6 different pathways that Lesley University will offer from our students, and they'll be able to get college credits while they're at and high school credits at the same time. And it is going to be focused on communities that have been underserved in attending and completing college. 2 exciting things that I delivered on both of them. As the senior member of the school committee, I took on the major subcommittees: budget, negotiations. Let's talk about negotiations. I negotiated 7 memorandums of understanding with the Teachers Association. We had a shared vision of getting everybody back to school, and we also negotiated vaccines for all of our teachers, and that was exciting. So I've done some great work. I still have the love in my belly to continue to do this, and I really need your #1 vote. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Fred. Christopher Lim, you are up.
Thank you. Hi, I'm Christopher Lim. I'm an immigrant, although my parents did all of the hard work. I'm also the father of an 8th grader at Rock, the husband of a public school teacher with 26 years of experience, an engineer who has worked with complex systems my entire career, the coach of Cambridge youth soccer and baseball teams, and a consistent volunteer at Cambridge Public Schools. While none of these things is a qualification for office, they do combine to give me a unique perspective and additional lenses through which to analyze the Cambridge Public School system. And I hope to be a member of a diverse, collegial, and effective school committee. I'm Christopher Lim, and I need your #1 vote on November 2nd. The challenges facing Cambridge Public Schools are systemic and difficult to address. We have a growing population with the corresponding increase in class sizes, escalating behavior challenges paired with the need to have fairness for all, and long-standing achievement gaps, not only in elementary and secondary schools, but continuing on to post-secondary education. We need to create thoughtful and transparent systems that follow up on and track administration and school committee initiatives to determine if they have positive outcomes on teaching and learning. We need to create opportunities for teachers to work with each other and observe each other in front of students. And we need to continue and expand on the work the CEA and district did with the Nellie Mae grant to address racial inequities and the achievement gap. My #1 priority is very, very tactical. I'm an engineer by training and by personality. I think we need to remove the interim tags for senior leadership in our district. We need to hire a permanent candidate for our superintendent, and we need to support the superintendent in designing the school improvement plan and continuing on with the policy goals and basic definition of what our system is designed to achieve. My proudest relevant achievement is raising an 8th grader in Cambridge. Thank you to the community and my wife. Without Cambridge Public Schools and our lovely community, we wouldn't have a child who loves education to this day. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Christopher.